And welcome to the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Man, we are in season 2, which is just mind-boggling to me. I'm just so thankful that people spend the time and energy to listen to our podcast here. Really, started to just uplift and honor coaches around the world. Now I can say, now that we've had our first international coach, I'm just so excited and humbled that you still pay attention. I'm just so thankful for your time and really thankful for today's guest. So help me welcome head coach of Central Methodist University, Mr. Kenny Anderson. Kenny, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you? And thank you for having me.
Oh man, my pleasure. You were one of the coaches that were nominated. That's always special to me, that when someone nominates another coach, that they would, I don't know if they're setting them up or if it's intentional.
Yeah, I don't know why they nominated me.
We'll find out. That's our goal today, is find out why in the world was this guy nominated here.
Right.
Well, I'm sure it was, there are many good reasons, and I'm excited to learn more about them. So you are the head coach at Central Methodist University, and this is your first year.
Yes, I was hired in July, so I've been here since the summer.
Wow, what a year to get hired as any job, but to get hired as a head coach.
Crazy, but a blessing. Definitely a blessing with everything going on right now. Just to have a job, doing something you love to do is a blessing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a really good attitude. Look there. There's our first reason right there. He was nominated. What a great attitude. That's an awesome attitude. Well, we're going to talk more about your head coaching job here at Central Methodist and what you're doing. You're doing some exciting things. I'm super pumped to learn not only what you're doing, to learn more about that, but also how and why you're doing the things that you do. I think there's some really interesting topics there. We have got a lot to get through. If you're you probably can't see, even if you're watching us on YouTube, you can't see my desk here, but every guest that we have here, I put out on Twitter. And if you're not following me on Twitter, that's a mistake. You got to go follow me. Shame on. That's right. And you'll know why he said that as well here in a little while. But yeah, check me out if you are interested in participating in the future podcast. I'm at, it's super easy to remember. I'm at Mike Cunningham. No dots, no spaces, no cut the checks, nothing like that. But I do like to give a shout out to our future guests when we record and ask what questions you may have, the Twitter fam out there. And let me tell you what, everybody is interested in Kenny Anderson. So I've got a ton. My desk is just full of these. I look like the guy who doesn't know social media. I printed out every post so I wouldn't forget it. And I didn't want to have it on my phone, so I had to put it in order. So let's get started. We'll intersperse these questions throughout the interview today. But I'd like to learn more. Kenny, you went to a school that I find really fascinating. Kind of loved it actually as I was growing up and going to college myself. You went to the great school, Florida A&M, the great FAMU Rattlers.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, talk to us about how you got to FAMU. Are you from Florida? What drew you to FAMU, and how did you do? How was college for you?
Most certainly. So yes, I am from Florida. I'm from Jacksonville. FAMU was kind of a school to where I always knew that's where I wanted to go. So my dad actually ran track at FAMU. He was a 400 hurdler. And so he would take me as a young kid. We would go to homecoming football games and activities. And then when I graduated high school, I had 3 older cousins that were already in Tallahassee. Wow. So it was like, I always wanted to go there. That was my only choice. I didn't want to go anywhere else. Wow. So that's how I ended up at FAMU.
That's really cool. And can I assume, were you a track athlete yourself? I didn't know Dad was a 400 hurdler. That's cool.
So honestly, basketball was my first love. I started playing basketball first at the age of 5, and then I started running track probably around 9 or 10. But I always had like hoop dreams. So I thought I was going to college to play basketball. But my senior year in high school, I was like 5'5", and I wasn't going anywhere to play basketball at anybody's university. So, I ran track through high school. I was average, nothing special. I made it to state my senior year in the 300 hurdles in Florida. But that was probably like the highlight of my high school career. And then at FAMU, my first year, I ran first semester actually, And then, so I went on an academic scholarship and I walked on the track team.
Oh, okay.
And after my first semester, being away from home, I kind of was a wild child, and my grades slipped. And so my dad said, if you lose your academic scholarship, you're coming home because I'm not paying for school. So I had a decision to make and kind of focused on my grades after that.
And you made the right decision.
Yeah.
Good.
I did.
Good.
I did.
You know, I don't want you to diminish your accomplishment there. You mentioned that, you know, the highlight, you said you weren't that good, and your highlight was you made it to state. Well, you made it to the state meet, first of all, and you made it to the state meet in the state of Florida. Now, I grew up in Alabama, and that is a place where I made it to state too, but you know, that wasn't the greatest accomplishment in the world. There were some not so great, you know, that we had like 6 divisions in Alabama, man, which there ain't even that many in Florida. And we have, you know, there's way better talent and more people in Florida, but that's awesome. So you were 300 hurdler. So you followed kind of dad's, I don't want to say his footsteps, but he was a 400 hurdler. You kind of followed along dad's path?
Yes, very much so. He was a coach. He was my coach, basketball coach, track coach, all the way through grade school. Middle school, he kind of like let me go, and he was just a dad, a parent then. But yeah, I grew up around sports. So he coached football, basketball, and track. So Friday nights, I was on the sideline, the ball boy. Basketball season, I was at the games. Wow. Track season, I was at the track meets. So just kind of grew up around sports all my life.
You grew up a big basketball fan. So what, I don't know how old you are. So what era of basketball did you grow up? Did you grow up in Jordan era, Kobe era?
Jordan fan all day, every day. Jordan, the GOAT.
That was the right answer, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. All these, and I actually, like, I respect and love LeBron. First of all, a guy who was, you know, given millions as a 17, 18-year-old, and to this day, you know, family man, father, husband, amazing philanthropic person. Like that to me, I mean, that's the epitome. Like, oh man, if we could all be like that, holy cow, this world would be changed. And Jordan did his own good things, and he also was a gambler, which I love as well. But did you watch that 30 for 30 on?
I did. Yeah, I did. And again, like, no disrespect to, you know, I think LeBron's great. I think Kobe's great. You know, there were some great players before Jordan. Jordan is the guy to me.
Agreed. So you were going to be a hoopster and you ended up going to FAMU, but you went on an academic scholarship, which is amazing because, you know, I couldn't even spell academic at that age. So there was no academic scholarship for me. So interestingly, tell us what you ended up getting your major in. This might be the highest major that I know of a guest on the Connections podcast.
So I got my degree in electrical engineering. So I thought my dream job was to work in robotics. I wanted to build robots.
Yeah.
My senior design project, I actually built a robot that the school still has today. But it basically, if you're sitting on your couch, it's a remote control, like, drink go-getter. So like sitting on
this is the greatest, and this is why we need smart people. I need a robot to go to the fridge and get me my drink. Is that what this is?
Exactly. So you use your remote, the same remote as a TV, and you can decide, do I want a Coke or, you know, whatever the options are, and you just push a button and it goes and gets it and brings it back.
That is awesome. That is what higher education is all about right there. I love it. That's so cool. So that's amazing. And again, electrical engineering, holy cow, there's so much involved with that. I mean, that's a lot of math, a lot of the physics. That's really quite amazing. But you didn't go that route. Where were you as you're getting this engineering degree at a great school? Where was coaching in your mind as you were being an athlete?
So I actually did, I worked in the field a little bit, but I started coaching my 5th year in school. So it took me 5 years to graduate. So my 5th year, I started with a YMCA basketball team, 2nd grade. Mm-hmm. And I just absolutely loved it. And we were actually pretty good. So once I graduated college, I got a job with Procter and Gamble in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
And so I worked there for 2 years. And while I was working there, I was coaching middle school basketball and high school track. So really it was the YMCA team, my last year in college, that just kind of got me interested in coaching. And then when I got to Procter and Gamble, I really didn't like sitting in an office all day. I didn't like staring at a computer all day. It was monotonous. It was the same every day. So I really had a joy in coaching, passion for coaching. Every day I would look forward to, I can't wait to get off so I can go coach, so I can be around the kids, be around my team. So 2 years.
Well, I'm always curious about when people say they didn't want to be in an office. First of all, because that's my job now. But you were getting that degree. Was there not, did you not think you would be in an office being a double E major? Like, what were you thought? What did you think the profession was going to be versus what reality hit you in the head with?
So I wanted to do robotics, and I didn't get a job in robotics. So the job that I was offered, it was in a research facility. And so it was boring to me. It was boring. The money was great, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't having fun doing that.
So you wanted, and this is a question, not a, I don't want to assume anything. So you wanted to be more in the lab of building robotics and stuff, not sitting at a desk coding or, that kind of stuff. Got it. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense. Like it does amaze me when there's athletes that go into jobs, sitting at a desk. Cause I'm like, wait a minute, you're not only your past collegiate life, but high school, like you're used to going out and doing stuff in the middle of the afternoon, or getting up, before work or, school and going and doing stuff. And now we're about to ask you to basically sit down for 8 hours straight, 9 hours straight. And it's very incompatible. Like there needs to be like a transition period to getting into that. Like put you at the desk for 8 hours when you're a 40-year-old, but when you're 20 and 30, how about we do some kind of half and half?
Right. Exactly.
So the coaching bug bites you. You're up in Cincinnati working for a great company, by the way, and obviously getting paid pretty well. But you're coaching middle school basketball and track. So talk to me about continue on. Eventually, spoiler alert, you end up becoming a full-time track coach. How does it keep morphing?
All right. So a little backstory. While I was in college, my girlfriend played basketball. And so
at FAMU?
At FAMU, yes, at FAMU. So while I was there, I would help out as a practice player every now and then with the basketball program when I could. Mm-hmm. And one of the assistants at FAMU got the head coaching job at Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida. Mm-hmm. So we kept in contact, throughout everything. So my second year at P&G, I was looking for opportunities, whether it was a graduate assistant position, a volunteer position. I just wanted to get into college coaching. I wanted to coach full time. Mm-hmm. So she had a volunteer spot open. And for me, my thought process was, all right, nobody can take away my engineering degree. I have that. So if this doesn't work out, I can always find a job with engineering because I have an engineering degree. So it's just me right now. I'm by myself. So I'm going to step out. I'm going to take a chance and see what happens. And if I fall flat on my face, I'll figure it out later. But I just took a chance. So originally I accepted a volunteer position. I was going to find a job down in Boca and just help out. But it came up, her assistant left. So she offered me the full-time position. So that's how I got into coaching. So originally, before I started coaching track, I was coaching collegiate basketball.
Where does that, I love the confidence, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, right? But I heard all confidence there about, hey, it's just me, so I don't have to worry about a wife or kids and things like that. I just have to fail or succeed on my own here. And if I do fail, okay, well, I got a great degree from a great university. I'll be able to get back into the private sector. Where does that confidence come from? Is that from being raised? Is that from running track? I love that confidence.
It's all faith.
Hmm.
It's all faith, just trusting in God, believing, living right, doing what you're supposed to do. I think that's the biggest thing, just the faith, the confidence in my Lord and Savior, and knowing that He has my back. And so He's not going to put anything on me that I can't do. And then if you go to Him, you ask Him for guidance, He'll put you in the right situations, right where you need to be at the right time.
Has that been lifelong? Is that from being
Yes.
raised? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. So you started out as a basketball coach.
Yep.
And you eventually become a track coach.
Yeah, that's a great story. I'm ready for that one.
All right, let's hear that story, because I have some questions.
So Lynn University, we had a very, very good season. The head coach won Coach of the Year. We made the NCAA Division II. We were Division II. We made the national tournament, lost in the first round. But after that year, because we had such a great turnaround, I was offered a job by Stetson University. So I went there, Division I. That was my dream. I'm a Division I coach, college basketball. I felt like I made it, but I wasn't ready. And I'm gonna be honest, like I wasn't ready for the lifestyle. I wasn't ready for the demands of what it took to be successful at that level. So I kind of struggled a little bit. And I struggled with time management. I struggled with, organization. And I probably should have stayed at Lynn another year just to prepare myself and get ready. I was just trying to move as fast as possible up, and it kind of like backfired. So at the end of the year, it really wasn't a good fit for me. I definitely learned a lot, but I wasn't ready. So
was Stetson coaching men or women basketball?
Women.
Coaching women. What? And by the way, thank you for your openness and honesty there about, you weren't ready in the time management. What was it about coaching basketball at the Division I level that kind of that you weren't ready for? What you mentioned time management, but what else?
Well, Division II, where we were, it was more of a balance, a balance with work and a balance with life. And so I was kind of used to that, to where, all right, yeah, we have our responsibilities and things that we have to do, but I also could go and do my thing outside of basketball or outside of coaching. And at Stetson, it was more, all right, my life is coaching. And so there's times where, I wanted to get away. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. But now we got scouting reports. We got this. We have that. We're traveling. We're actually flying to go places now. So it was just an adjustment for me at that time that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, that's interesting. And having coached no basketball at all, but just interesting, you're at Stetson. I know Stetson well. They used to be in our conference when I was at Troy back in the day. The Mad I always call them the Mad Hatters. But it's a smaller school. It's not like we're talking about a Georgia Tech or a Georgia. So it's a smaller school. It's women's basketball versus men's. And I only say that because of the amount of TV exposure, et cetera, which was even more dispersed back when you were there. But it's interesting that it was a all-consuming profession at Stetson.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely the type of program that you're working for.
Okay.
So Stetson in the past, before I got there, were pretty good. 21 seasons a year, NIT, NCAA tournament.
Okay.
The year before I got there, they had won the conference and made the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
So the level of basketball there, we're not just trying to be good, right. We're trying to take it to another level.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was different.
That makes sense. That's interesting. So what did you do about it?
So after that year, I moved back home and I started coaching high school track.
So back to Jacksonville.
Yes.
Did you coach at your alma mater?
No, I
Okay.
did.
What
They didn't hire me.
what school did what school did you go to?
I coached at the rival school, our rival high school.
What school did you go to, and what was the rival?
I went to Stanton Prep,
Hmm.
and I coached at Paxton
Oh
for
yeah.
a year, and then I worked at the Bowl School.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is that where Tebow went? Did he go to the Bulls?
No, Tebow went to Nice.
Nice. That's right. Yeah. The Bulls there's some famous people that have come out of the Bulls though. I
Mac
know.
Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I knew he was another Jacksonville guy. Yeah. So so you moved back home and start, but so what drew you to go back home and coach track versus basketball?
Track hired me first.
I love the deliberate answers. Like, that was what was first.
Yeah. So there was a basketball job and a track job open at my alma mater. And then there was a track job open at the rival high school. Mm. I applied for the basketball and track job at my alma mater, but they gave it to who's actually a friend of mine, and she's older than me. Her name is Marla Jackson. She ran track at Florida State. So they gave it to her, which I'm fine. So I just went to the rival school.
I'm shocked no one would pick you up quickly for basketball. I mean, the experience you had, it seems like your resume was more polished for basketball than it was at track at this point.
Oh, for sure. But everything happens for a reason.
That's right. Exactly. So how did that go, and what happened after Jacksonville?
Won a state championship. Wow. State runner-up, a couple of regional championships. That's actually where the cut the check came from.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Because that was definitely a question. So I'm going to give Tom Sage, shout out to Tom Sage. He's on the wonderful Meeting of the Unknowing Minds podcast. I'm going to give Tom credit, but there was no way I was not going to have this interview without asking about your Twitter handle. So Tom Sage, appreciate it. He asked on Twitter, where did the nickname, the handle from Twitter come from? And then, of course, he hashtagged it, #CutTheCheck. I love that there was when I posted it, I put a GIF for cut the check. There's actually a cut the check. There must be something to I don't know. It's not in my culture, unfortunately. But so what is it? What is this cut the check? How did it come? Where did it come from? What is this thing?
So I had an AAU program and coaching track. And it was mostly high school athletes that were looking to run at the next level. So it was really kind of show me the money to college coaches. So it was a way for us to be politically correct and cut the check, show us the scholarship money. And then we actually had what made it hot. We got shirts. I have to send you a picture of the shirt.
Yeah.
Kind of like took off to where people were actually like buying shirts. Because I had like a little small brand, and then I just kind of stuck with it.
Only this guy makes a statement called cut the check and then gets people to cut him a check. Cut the check. There's some matrix stuff in there, man. That's above mine. That's awesome. So keep going. You obviously were successful, man. State championships and regionals, again, in the state of Florida, one of the top 5 states for high school track and field. No arguments there. Where did it go from there?
I had a lot of kids that I work with run at the next level. I think one in particular, the last one, right before I got the job at Johnson C. Smith, she kind of helped me broaden my network. Her name is Monet Bowen. She's at Howard now, running track at Howard with David Oliver. But we would travel around the South, Louisiana, North Carolina, Virginia, just going to the New Balance, stuff like that. And I met Coach Cheek from East Carolina. I sent one of my athletes, Sadrina Singletary. She signed with ECU, and then he was also, looking at Monet. So I would go up there and kind of like spend some time with him, and just getting to know him. He was kind of one of my first mentors at the collegiate level, and so when Monet graduated, she was like my last senior. And so everybody else was like babies. So I was like, well, let me try this college thing again. Let me see if I can, I have a little bit more experience. I'm a little bit older now. It's still me by myself, so I can maneuver and go wherever. So I was just like looking for opportunities to, get in on the collegiate level. And that's where Lamont Johnson comes in.
Well, I was trying to do a podcast without mentioning his name, but I guess we'll get into it. But before we get to Lamont, a couple questions. I'm a huge advocate because it changed my career about coaches' education. Where are you at this point? So as you're about to get into Johnson C. Smith, where are you in coaching education? Were you doing any USATF or USTF CCAs? Were you just reaching out to talking? You mentioned Udon. I actually don't know how to pronounce his Udon. By the way, shout out to Udon Cheek. He and I have yet to talk. I got to get him on the podcast, to be honest with you. We have a lot in common. We're both big Christian hip hop, Christian rap fans. He is awesome, by the way. He's also the intro and I think even the outro for the Athletics LLC YouTube show.
Yeah.
So we rebroadcast that here on the Gill Connection. So that music you hear when you're listening to those bonus episodes, that's him, man. He is an amazing artist. I mean, like, amazing. Love his work. He does an amazing job. So what are you doing for coaching education? Are you just talking to other coaches? Or are you just simply relying on how you were coached? What are you doing there?
I started with how I was coached, and then just kind of doing my own research. And I was talking to Coach Cheek. I had an opportunity a few times being in Jacksonville to go watch a practice at JU with Coach Grigg.
Yeah.
Great guy as well. So just kind of not really familiar with the coaching education platform and the opportunities that were available there. Just kind of doing research on my own and really trial and error.
Yeah.
Being an engineer, everything is like a science project to me. So having that approach, going into training somebody, everybody is different. So you can't train everybody the same way. So just kind of taking that philosophy and that mindset and just trying to learn to see, what works. So at that point, it was just kind of like, I'm just trying to science project everybody.
Yeah. I think most people start that way. First of all, I think we mostly start with how were we coached? That's all we know, right? So you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And then you start like, oh, okay, wait, you see other people have done some things. And so you're like, well, maybe I need to insert that in somehow. And then, from my experience, the coaches that become like lifelong, very good, like they consistently produce good athletes and improved athletes. They get into coaching education in a lot of different forms. Some of it's not just the formal USATF and USTF CCA and ALTIS courses. It's also peer conversations and stuff. That's interesting. So did you have, as you going into Johnson C. Smith, and you kind of had, these are going to be my words, you correct them, a bad experience at Stetson. And I don't mean that at Stetson, you self-awarely said, is that a word, self-awarely?
It is today.
Yeah, thanks.
It is today.
You had some self-awareness. I think that's the better way. Remember, I went to school in Alabama, so we just make up words, man. Did you have any concerns going into, Johnson C. Smith, while I'm doing air quotes here, Division II, that's a high level program, man. They put out some amazing athletes, some amazing coaches have gone through there. Some amazing athletes have gone through there. Did you have concerns about that work-life balance as you were approaching Johnson C. Smith?
No. And the reason, basketball and track, the demands, in my opinion, are different. Mm-hmm. So basketball, scouting reports, take up a lot of your time, especially like when you have back-to-back games. So, going to sleep, 3 or 4 in the morning to get up for the next day scouting report at 6 or 7 is a little bit different at the collegiate level from coaching track. So I wasn't concerned in that regard as far as like a balance. I knew that, to get to the highest level, there are, different demands where you are, depending on the institution and location and, what you're trying to accomplish. But as far as having a work-life balance, I wasn't worried at this point because now I knew I kind of had an expectation. If I wanted to be at the highest level, this is what I need to be prepared for. So that time from Stetson to before Johnson C. Smith, I felt like I was better prepared and more, I was ready for that.
Now, admittedly, never having coached the quote unquote team sport, right? So basketball and football. I did play football in the great state of Alabama. It sounds like when you're talking about those scouting reports, that those are very outwardly focused. Basketball maybe is more outwardly focused. I have to know what the opponent's strength and weaknesses are, and then how we're going to match up. And where track and field, and I have coached track and field, is more inwardly focused, meaning I have to get my athletes prepared. It doesn't matter who's going to be in the race. And maybe that changes a little bit with distance. I haven't coached distance, so there's maybe some more tactics there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But in the jumps and the sprints and the hurdles, it's more about, well, what can you do to improve on that day? Whether you get first or last, we'll let that sort it out. But how do you go from, if you're a 1050 kid, how do you go to 1049, 1048, et cetera, right? Is that see?
Exactly.
Okay.
That honestly, that's the first kind of example or analogy or illustration I heard that makes sense in regards to that. So basketball is definitely, it's not only, how do we get better as a team, but now we have to study what these other teams are doing and how they play. So it's not only your team, it's the other team. Track and field, let's just worry about us. Let's focus on how we can improve, how we can get better. Great. I like that.
Well, that makes sense when you hear, sometimes as track coaches, I'll see, we'll post some pretty egotistical stuff sometimes. Our sport is better, right? What's the old school famous saying? Our sport is our sports training is your sports punishment, or that kind of crap. But there's differences, right? Like how you coach and prepare basketball is different than how you coach and prepare track and field and football, and I assume field hockey and lacrosse. I don't know. I never, from Alabama, we don't have those things down there. But so it's not one is better than the other per se, although we are biased. We're going to say track and field is better because it is, but it's different, right?
It's different.
How you coach basketball is different than how you coach track and field. And there should be some similarities, maybe like how you physically train your basketball players. There's some things that we can for sure learn from track and field. That's just interesting. Yeah. Okay. Let's get to Johnson C. Smith.
All right.
What a great campus, by the way. I do love the school. I love the track. We need to hear the real story here. No editing, no beeps, no non-disclosure agreements. What's it like working with Lamont Johnson?
Lamont Johnson is a character.
Wait, no. I said we need to know the real stuff. We all know that.
He's a character. He's very, very lively all the time.
So if you're a listener to the Connections podcast, as we're into season 2 now, one of our original, the first like 20 people to take a chance on me and this crazy idea back in January of 2020 to be on the podcast will always be very, very special to me. And Lamont Johnson, who I've known for a long time, and I'm so thankful for that. He was guest number 16, and he was, for the longest time, and this probably won't surprise you, was the longest interview for quite a long time. I think we went on for 2 hours, and I know we're past 2.5. I think we were 2 hours 40 or something like that. Maybe close to 3. I don't know. We do so many now. It's hard to remember each one. But he's an amazing man. Love him to death. He is a character. And because he's a character, he participated in our Twitter questions for you, Mr. Kenny Anderson. So I'm just going to ask this just point blank, just how he asked it. By the way, if you want to follow Coach Lamont Johnson there at on Twitter, I've got to find out why what his handle is for. Yours is Cut the Check. That made a lot. Now it makes a lot of sense. His is Part 4. I don't know what that is. I always, when I go to type it in, I type in, instead of part, I type in lane. Like I thought maybe, lane 4, lane 4s and 5s are the preferred lanes. Maybe that's what he's going for, but it's Part 4. I got to figure out what is that about and what happened to Part 1, 2, and 3. I got to figure that part out.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a good question.
Yeah. So he asked, and remember, guys and gals that are listening, so Kenny was an assistant for Lamont. So there's personal history here. But he wanted to know, and I don't even understand the question, but Lamont ask Kenny, how is it that when he was at Johnson C. Smith, Kenny had 247 pictures and the head coach, Lamont, only had 5. What is he talking? Are you talking? Did you have 247 pictures of yourself up on your wall or something? What's going on?
No. So when we would go out to track meets, I have a knack for finding the camera.
That's a good knack. That's a good knack.
It doesn't matter where I am. Like, I know when the camera is on me. So I could be across the field and somebody could be taking pictures. I feel that, it's like a sixth sense, I'm just playing. But I would have a lot of, we get back from track meets, I would be in a lot of the photos and he would. So,
Did he try to use some lame excuse? Well, I was working. That's why I wasn't in the photo. Is that what he tried to counter with?
And I don't know. It's not me, because I'm not the one, taking the picture. I just so happen to be in the right place at the right time more often than not.
I like it. Well, he had a follow-up, which is another good question. Well, I don't know. I don't know if these are really good questions, guys, but it's Lamont. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So he asked how you ordered Blue Jackets, but you didn't order the head coach. Now, this seems like a major faux pas for an assistant coach. It sounds like you were tasked with ordering coaches for the staff, and you forgot to order your head coach the jacket.
No, not even.
What's
close.
The real truth? What's the real?
The real truth is, Lamont likes his shoes. He likes to, when we go up to a meet, especially a championship meet, he likes to look the part, and he wants to look different, which is fine. You're the head coach.
I love it.
You want to stand out. So when ordering jackets, the assistants, we got the normal stock blue sweatsuits. Coach Johnson asked for the white jacket, so he likes the all white. That's his thing. So I ordered him the white jacket. Now, when we show up to the track meet and we got the blue jackets, he's like, well, where's mine? Well, didn't you ask for the white jacket? He was like, yeah, but I wanted the blue jacket as well.
I was gonna say, yeah, he wanted both.
He wanted both, but he didn't say that.
He is
a white jacket.
That's a head coach right there. He's like, yeah, I asked for the white and the blue. You're supposed to just know that.
Yeah, but that's the jacket situation. So he has all the white stuff, and we had all the blue stuff. But
being a head coach, communication is key, and it sounds like maybe he missed the ball on that one.
Yeah, I'm not taking that one. I'm not.
All right. I think that's fair. You mentioned shoes, and I do love any time that we, if I'm on a Zoom call with Lamont or FaceTiming, he is always in front of his, what seemingly looks like hundreds of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So a good friend of ours, Coach Whitman, Keith Whitman out in Ohio, he asked if you have the same eye for shoes that Mont does.
No, not even close.
Are you not a shoe guy?
I'm not a shoe guy.
Nah, I want to be, but then I'm like, I just don't really like shoes. So I just kind of pick the same ones over and over. I'm also, I'm a diehard cheapskate, and
here.
Yeah, those shoes, they're kind of expensive, man.
Especially not to be, you don't even wear them like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think it's more about, and I can kind of understand this because I'm a little bit of a pack rat hoarder collector kind of guy. It is more about just having the collection. It seems like it's outside looking in from a shoe collector, but it seems like it's just about having the shoes, not necessarily wearing them or using them, which again, I can understand. I collect a lot of things that I don't ever use. They're up on my wall or wherever. Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough. Well, actually, I think that's enough of Lamont, but I guess we do need to talk about, well, how was your time at Johnson C. Smith? So how many years were you there? How'd that go?
So getting there, it all started off of social media, me getting the job. So he had posted that he just accepted the head coaching position. And so we followed each other on social media, and I reached out to him just asking again for an opportunity, volunteer. I just wanted to break in. So I know how hard it is to break in on the collegiate level. Like once you have your foot in the door, you have, more opportunities, but actually getting that opportunity, that first initial opportunity or shot, like you have to get in where you fit in my opinion. So any opportunity that you have, you take it and then you make the best of it once you get in. So I just wanted to get in somewhere, Charlotte is really, really nice. And then I was blessed with a job to where before the pandemic, I was working from home anyway, or I had the option to work from home. So I was working in Medicare. So I could work anywhere in the country. I just had to be, logged in from a certain time during the day, but I could do it anywhere as long as I had internet. And so I asked for an opportunity to come volunteer and just, see what it's like. And, he offered me a, part-time position. And so that probably, just working with him, I definitely learned a lot because he wasn't a micromanager. So he allowed me to be me. He allowed me to learn. He allowed me to make mistakes, all within, what he wanted to do, what his vision for the program was, but he allowed me to do my thing. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. Scholarships, he kind of just gave it to me, you're in charge of, recruiting and everything like that, gear, equipment. He let me look at the budget and get experience with that. So just kind of preparing me for, whatever the next steps would look like. He allowed me to get a lot of hands-on experience.
I'm assuming because of your athletic background as a hurdler, so in my head, I'm just like, oh, you must be coaching hurdlers. But what are you actually coaching? What are you focusing on at this point in your career, coaching wise?
So I was sprints and hurdles.
Okay.
And hurdles. And primarily when I was at Smith, my first year, I had the women's sprints and hurdles.
I love that he really kind of peeled the window back, or the veneer back, so you could see behind. So the budget and recruiting and equipment and things like that. That takes a lot of trust. You guys must have clicked fairly fastly to have that kind of trust.
I would think so. And then a lot of my references, the people that I knew had been talking to, knew him. So Coach Cheek, he was good friends with Coach Cheek. Sammy Dabbs out in Texas. And then Coach Oliver and Coach Murphy at Howard, spoke highly of me. So kind of the people that I knew, he knew. And, it just kind of worked out that way.
Well, he certainly does put his money where his mouth is. He talks a lot about hiring high school coaches, and that, you talked about, breaking into that collegiate level. So I love that he talks a lot about it, and he actually follows through. I don't think you're actually even the only one. I think there's been several of his assistants have come from the high school level. So that's awesome. There's a mythical divide between college coaching and high school coaching. It is different, but I think there can be some, I know I've seen plenty of people who have coached on the high school level achieve success on college, and vice versa. Collegiate coaches have gone to high school, which is different, and achieved success there. So I love that he kind of, he says it and then he actually does it as well. How many seasons were you there at Johnson C. Smith?
I was there, 1.5 with COVID. So 2 years after my first year, I had a hurdler that, she was okay before I got there, 15-second hurdler. And we got her down to 14 flat in a year. And she was, Division II, you have the, qualifying standards, provisional and, automatic. And she had hit provisional. And if she would have she ran 14:06. If she would have ran 13:98, I think she would have qualified for nationals. So that was like a big improvement for her. We had a very, very good season with her. And then our recruiting class was, in my opinion, legit. We had a couple of, All-American state champions coming in. And after my first year, I actually, was offered another job to, a Division I university. But I decided to stay. And the reason I decided to stay is because I did that before previously, going from Lynn to Stetson.
Right.
I'm not about to make this same mistake again. Not that it would have been a mistake, but you know, the situation happened twice. I don't want to repeat it.
Mhm.
So, you know, I wanted to learn more. You know, the recruiting class, you know, we did a great job as a staff bringing in that class. And so I kind of wanted to coach them and, you know, be with them. And then year 2, COVID.
That just changed everything, man. No one saw this coming. This was
Right.
man, this was that left hook. That was that Mike Tyson uppercut right here. No one saw it, and you're just out. We're out. We're done, man. So COVID comes, and obviously we know what happened there and all that kind of good stuff. And hopefully by the time we're listening to this, we are in the middle of an indoor season and getting back to normal, whatever that looks like, but have some normalcy and have some competitions and such. But what led you to pursue other opportunities though?
I really wasn't looking. So, you know, I was comfortable at Johnson C. Smith. I liked living in Charlotte. I liked, you know, the balance that I had. So I wasn't looking for another opportunity. They just kind of came.
Yeah.
Before taking the job here at Central, I actually accepted another job as an assistant down in Florida at a Division I university. But with COVID and everything, there was some uncertainty. So this, go ahead.
Do you feel, so you're at Central Methodist, do you, and I was born in Florida, so I know the pull of Florida. Is there a pull for you ever to get back down to Florida?
Not really. I don't necessarily have to be in Florida. I feel like anywhere I go, I can be successful. I definitely would like to get closer to the South because that's where all my family is, and I'm out here by myself. But as far as like, I don't necessarily have to be in Florida. I don't necessarily, you know, have to be in the South. It just would be a preference if I could get back down there.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. That support system of having family and such around, or at least close-ish, is it's vital, I think. Absolutely. So you said you think you can be successful anywhere. So let's talk about where you are right now. So you're at Central Methodist University. I admittedly don't know a lot about Central Methodist University. I think you are in Fayette, Missouri.
Yes, I am.
Oh yeah, nailed it. I know you're the Eagles. Oh, I said that so confidently. I was like, oh, I might have gotten that one wrong. New Eagles. You're Division II.
NAIA.
Oh, NAI. Okay. All right. Okay. So what attracted you to this job? Why? Well, it must have been really attractive because you left Lamont. So what attracted you to head out to Missouri?
The opportunity really, you know, kind of presented itself. So the athletic director here, Miss Natasha Wilson, and I want to thank her for, you know, thinking of me and, you know, allowing me to, you know, take over the program and, you know, lead the program. She actually was the assistant AD at Johnson C. Smith my first year.
Oh, okay.
So she got the year 2 for me at Smith. She got the AD position out here. And when the position opened up, she called to see if I was interested.
Nice. That's good. You must have made it a positive impression then.
I would like to think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could just say we know so. I mean, you got the job. I mean, it could have been like, oh yeah, he made an impression. All right, he's never working here. Well, that's a great segue to one of our Twitter questions. Good friend Ryan Banta, he's at Sprinters Compendium on Twitter. He asked, being a new hire during COVID, what has been the biggest challenge for you as a coach?
Honestly, I think I look at it from a different perspective. So coming out here as a new coach, I don't know anything. So as far as like restrictions or anything, to me, this is the baseline, you know, because I don't know what it was like out here before. You know, if I was at Smith with restrictions, all right, it's different because now I've gone from, you know, full access and now we can't do X, Y, and Z. But here, being a new coach is like, okay, this is what I'm allowed to do. These are, you know, the policies in place. So for me, this is all new. I don't know anything different. So as far as challenges from a logistical standpoint and that aspect, it's not really difficult because I don't know anything different.
That's what I was about to say. It sounds like that you don't know what you don't know, and since you didn't have the history there, it's like, well, this is all I've ever known at Central Methodist at this point. Yeah.
Right.
He goes on to ask, what are you doing to bridge the gap because of it? I'm going to change his question just a little bit here. So what are your plans? I'm going to take the gap forward. What are your plans as we move through COVID and get into where there will be eventually we will be into a normal rhythm, right? What are your plans as you move forward with the program here this season and maybe into next fall, next preseason?
This season really is about us. It's about finding out who we are, building the relationship, building the culture, building the family atmosphere, and setting the tone for what we want to look like in the future. So really this year is all about us and recruiting, finding young men and young women who fit our system here, fit the mold here at Central Methodist, because it's not for everybody out here. So just finding people that can come in, can help us, on the track and be successful. So that's really what we're trying to do right now, how we're trying to build, just kind of setting the foundation, laying the groundwork for what it's going to look like in the future.
A recent guest, Kurt Downs, coach up at Border City Athletics Club, he asked, what was your thought process when taking over the new program? That kind of sounds like you just nailed that question there. It's about recruiting, getting the culture set and the type of kids that would achieve success in Fayette.
Yeah. So taking over, I'm a firm believer that energy is contagious. So coming in, especially if you like seeing my social media and everything, I'm a very, very energetic person. I like to have fun. I like to dance. That's me. So I want to my staff, my team, anybody that I have around to be like, to take on my personality. If we all think the same, we all move the same, then we're all going in the same direction. Um, so just coming in, taking over, that's the first thing, I kind of wanted to do. I wanted to learn what it was like before. What are some things that the student athletes enjoy? Where can we make some improvements? And I want you guys to learn who I am, why I am the way I am, and how I can help serve you.
Have you, I'm gonna say, struggled with that part because of the COVID restrictions? It's not like I'm assuming you've not been able to just go on the track every day with your team, and that's how you kind of get to know them and maybe one-on-ones. What struggles have you had getting to know the team?
Honestly, out here, we haven't had too many restrictions in that area as far as me being able to be around my team. Obviously, wearing the mask and stuff when we're at practice and in the weight room and doing things like that. But before I got the job, well, when I got the job, we had a Zoom call and I just kind of asked questions of, what they were looking for in a coach, how I could best serve. I think, this profession is a profession of servitude. And, for coaches, we don't have jobs unless the kids are here. All right. So, just kind of we want to not exert, but give off our philosophy, our mindset, and everything like that. But we also got to make sure the kids are happy. So I hear a lot of coaches say all the time, I don't feel like I'm working a day in my life because I enjoy what I'm doing. Well, if the kids aren't enjoying what they're doing, then what's the point, in my opinion? So the experience, the totality of the experience needs to be that for them, just like it is for us.
You mentioned philosophy, which makes me think of the word culture. We had, I think it was awesome, but from listen downloads, you guys all thought this was awesome too. We had Judd Logan. Judd Logan is a Division II coach at Ashland University, big time throws coach, and has had many, many successes and national champions and championship teams. But he has a real culture there of what it takes to be a thrower in his program. Kurt Downs asked, he would love to hear about how you've created such a solid team culture in such a short amount of time. I mean, you've been there less than 6 months, and in this and you mentioned not as many restrictions, but there certainly have to have had some certain restrictions, some differences than in the falls that you've had in the past. How have you created this team culture in such a short amount of time?
I think it goes back to energy and everything that I ask of my student athletes, I'm willing to do. So not only saying, this is what I need you to do, but also doing. Um, and again, it goes to my personality. So I'm the type where, the work-life balance is very, very important to me. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. But also while I'm working, work hard, but I want to have fun doing it. It goes back to, the experience. I don't feel like I'm working a day in my life because I enjoy doing this. This is my escape. When I'm at track practice or I'm in the weight room, that's my happy place, so to speak. So for my athletes, I want them to have that same mindset. I want when they come to track practice, all right, I'm getting away from, school, I'm getting away from stress, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, issues, work, financial, whatever the case may be. I just want you to come and do something for you while you're at practice and have fun doing it. So while we're at practice, every day is not a easy day, but music is going on, there's laughter, we're joking, you know, going back to Coach Johnson and the camera, we'll have the cameras at practice, flicking up, taking videos, and just making it enjoyable. So I feel like, when you see that and it's every day, then, the team culture kind of builds itself. So yeah.
That's interesting. Doug Petrick, again, another Twitter question here. He's at Doug Petrick and the number 1. He asked, what keeps you motivated? So doing a lot of those activities that you just mentioned, energy and positivity for the leader who's running with that type of mentality, we get tired too, right? I mean, your life is not, I'm sure your life is perfect, right? But it's not, right? There's stresses and bills and, other things that go on that'll stress and bring you down. How do you stay motivated to when you are around those athletes to be that positivity, energy type of person?
It's a challenge in the sense that every day is different. So I think that motivates me more because no 2 days are going to look the same. Being an athlete and having that, people talk about the Mamba mentality or, Jordan's a clutch player, so I feel like every day I have to be clutch. Every day, I can't let them see me sweat. I can't be weak. Even when I, not feeling well, I have to show up to work because my job here is to serve my student athletes. So, Jordan, the flu game, I just think about that. Like, I can't get sick. I can't have a bad day because my bad day is going to rub off on them. Again, energy is contagious. So if I come in and have a bad day and I don't feel like being at practice, how can I get the best out of them, right? How can I, make sure they're on their top, on the top of their game if I'm coming in and I'm sluggish, if I'm late, if I'm not giving all that I have every day? Is it a grind? Yeah, it is. But again, I enjoy this, and it beats sitting in the office all day.
I felt that was personal. I feel attacked.
No attack on you. No attack on you.
I know. So that makes me think of your mental health, because again, and I love that your energy is contagious, but we do live in the real world. And what I mean by that is that life is not unicorn kitty land. If you watch Lego the movie, right? I'm going to have to assume that there are times when living this far from your family brings you down, an unexpected bill, the stress of having to put together probably 3 to 4 different schedules, depending on what occurs with COVID, right? Things like that. What are you doing then for your mental health? If you're going to always show up for practice as this, 100, right? But you're not always inside 100. So what are you doing for your mental health meaning hobbies. You mentioned music earlier. What do you do to kind of de-stress, get away from the track side, the stress side of it?
Traveling. I like to travel, and it kind of helps with. I'm still going to throw it into bringing it back to the team. So like recruiting and traveling. So I don't mind getting in the car and taking a road trip. To me, like that's relaxing. I like to drive. So a 10-hour trip, that's my me time. I might spend an hour talking to myself, formulating my thoughts. I might spend another hour. I'm a big OJ's fan. I'm a big Temptations fan, old school type of vibe. So I might, just kind of sit and like listen to music. That's one way I escape. But I think for me, like the work-life balance. And so when I'm away, when I'm home, I'm not really thinking about track.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah. Right. That's interesting. Tell me more about that. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I love that you talked about when you're home, you're home. When you're in the office, you're in the office.
So I'm a movie guy. I like to watch movies. So I can sit and watch movies and I'll just quiet. I'm very, very reserved, surprisingly.
Yeah.
If you see my social media, you think I'm like always like loud and have to be the attention. That's not like in a room. I'm gonna sit back and just watch. And if I'm asked a question, I'll speak or explain. But for the most part, I like to observe people. I like to watch. And yeah, I like movies. I played the saxophone growing up, and the keyboard a little bit. So that's a hobby of mine.
Now you got to be careful telling me that stuff. I put Michael Roberts on point. He told me he played the guitar, and I goaded him into playing the guitar. You're in your office though, so I'm gonna
I'm in the office. I don't have
any. Okay, all right. Dang it. I'll put you on. I'll put you on the spot, man. I love hearing that stuff. That's amazing. What movies have you watched recently or a fan of?
The last movies I watched Wonder Woman. That was the last movie. Wonder Woman. I've watched Soul. I've been watching The Mandalorian.
I heard the Wonder Woman was horrible. Did you like it?
Yeah. Not really. It wasn't as good as the first one. But to me, it's like a typical DC movie. All the DC movies, in my opinion, haven't been very, very good. So I wasn't surprised.
We're going through and we're watching in order, not the order of release, but the order of timeline, all the Marvel cinematic universe, all the MCU. So we just watched Incredible Hulk last night. So now we've got Thor and either Avengers or Iron Man 3. I got the whole list, man. It's like 20 of these things, man. So we're going through all of those. And Soul, we just watched Soul as a family the other night. That actually was a deep movie. Like, I don't think I got it all watching it one time.
Yeah, I definitely would have to watch it again. And I think, as a young person, it probably went over a lot of their heads. To me, it was more of an adult movie.
That's a good point. But maybe they're the ones that needed that movie the most. Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah. I got done with that movie and I was like, man, that was really good. But, and very emotional and, talking about your life and your purposes and your passions. And I was like, but I don't think I caught it all. Like that's a pretty high level Pixar movie, man. This ain't Inside Out where it was all about the motions. And that was a really good movie. Like there's a lot of lessons and stuff there to look at and draw back on. But Soul, man, it's like, oh man, I'm probably gonna have to watch this one again to get the whole essence. But it was really, really good, really good. So we've been tiptoeing around two topics: social media, and therefore recruiting. All right, so. You said that you've had regular practices. I was on the assumption that you had no practice. And so you had a lot of time to be on Twitter. So talk to me about this melding of social media and recruiting. In fact, Coach Mastretti on Twitter, he's the head coach down at Southeast Louisiana. Great man. I love this guy to death. One of my favorite facilities. He asked he says, tell us a little bit about your social media acumen and how important it is for you in the recruiting game. So talk to us about recruiting and social media and how it melds for you.
In this day and age, social media to me is everything.
Hmm.
And the reason for that, for one, uh, before now, how many people have heard of Central Methodist?
Good point.
So the first question is Central Methodist, where is that? And so I feel like social media helps with your branding, with marketing, especially. So for me, coming from a corporate background where branding and marketing is everything, why not apply that to this? It is a business. Even though like we enjoy what we're doing, at the end of the day, college sports is a business. And you see brands like, Duke basketball, you think of Coach K, Alabama, you think of, Nick Saban. So like those brands, and I'm not, comparing myself to them by any means. I'm just saying from a marketing and branding standpoint, anytime that you can promote your university, promote, the things that you're doing in the classroom as well as the track, why not take advantage of that? So for me, go ahead.
No, go.
So for me, social media is a way for a lot of people to see our name, see our brand, see what we're doing that wouldn't have access to us otherwise.
Is Twitter your main outlet,
No,
or
I use Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all three have different dynamics. Facebook is more of your older crowd. So you have to appeal to that. Instagram is a different dynamic just because it's mostly pictures. And then Twitter is something different because now you have pictures and different things like that, but you can have words to it.
so are you doing different posts in all three
Sometimes,
applications?
yes.
Oh, God bless you, son. I love you to death. So
And you got to appeal to your market. So if Facebook, if I want people to, donate, fundraise and everything, that's a different market. So what I say, how I say it, what I post on Facebook is different from, I can clown a little bit more on Twitter versus Facebook. I have to be a little bit more politically correct, just depending on your audience.
I love that. And I wish you need to run like some kind of social media 101 class for track coaches, because you're spot on. I mean, I'm a huge, and if you're a listener of the show, I've said this a million times, huge advocate of social media. I love social media. I know there are downfalls and there are negatives to social media. If you haven't watched that Netflix show, oh gosh, what is that show? Have you seen that documentary where they talk about Facebook?
I haven't watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
Social Dilemma, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. In fact, it made me, I watched this now 2 or 3 months ago, I think it was. I turned off all my notifications for all my social media. Like I still see, like if I go onto Twitter, I'll see all my notifications, but it doesn't pop up on my phone as soon as someone responds to me or something like that. Right. And it has been the best thing. And I'm on social media 24/7. It seems like, it feels like sometimes, but, it's been a blessing to turn those notifications, to only see the notifications when I go onto Twitter or Facebook or Instagram has been, it has changed something up here mentally for the positive. But here's my beef with track coaches. Now, I don't normally say beef about track because I love track coaches. And it's not just track coaches. And I'll be fair here. It's a lot of people that have multiple social media channels. They post the same thing on Facebook, Twitter, and maybe Instagram to the T, like the same picture, the same word, all at the same time. And I start wondering, well, why am I following you on Twitter and Facebook? I don't need to see both posts. I should just follow you on once. I'll unfollow you on one of them or the other. It's just weird. But so I love that you are actually, that you recognize that there are different audiences and there are different mediums for those social medias. I really do. I like that. My favorite is Twitter because it's more of a back and forth,
right?
Communication. And that's what I think is the positive for social media. So, Coach Mastretti, continue. We're gonna kind of intertwine this social media and recruiting together. Coach Mastretti goes on to ask, he's noticed that you've been signing some young Canadian athletes. What's pushed your attention up to our friends up there?
I don't discriminate. It just so happens that they fit what we're trying to do here. I think being a smaller university, where we're located, I say this is not for everybody. Our team culture is not for everybody. How we do things is not for everybody. So just kind of finding the right people to be successful here. I don't care what, where you're from. It just so happens that, we've had, some success with kids from Canada. We actually have one freshman on the team now, that comes from the Border City Athletic Club with, Kurt. We just signed two more. And then we have another young lady who'll be here in January. She was at a JUCO in Texas, but she's from Canada as well. But I just think for us, it's, our university, our president, Dr. Drake, and, what he's trying to accomplish here, as far as, what we're doing in the classroom, as well as athletics, the school size here, just kind of location and, our team culture, what we've built so far and what people see on social media. So intertwining, they just, happen to be great fits for what we're trying to accomplish.
You brought up a good point about how many people had heard about Central Methodist before you on Twitter. You have just a little bit over 2,000 followers. Did the bulk of that occur in these past 6 months or so as you've gone to Central Methodist, or what was Twitter for you like at Johnson C. Smith as far as followers and activity and that such?
I was the same. I don't know like the difference of how many followers I have now, but versus when I was at Smith. But I haven't changed as far as kind of posting and the stuff on social media. Everything that I'm doing now, I was able to do at Johnson C. Smith. So I just think for me, it's being consistent, and then posting. Obviously, like we as people, we post like mostly like the good stuff, what we want people to see. Everybody doesn't see like the tough days or things like that. But I try to post things that show not only what we do as a team, but who I am as a person. So, the family pictures. Yeah, I like to dance. I was actually at FAMU. I was in a dancing group, the FAMU Strikers. So I like to dance.
Right.
And
Hold on. We got to talk about that, because I know nothing about dance. And the only dance that I like, when you say FAMU and dancing, I of course go to the historic band at halftime. Okay. Are you talking about that kind of dancing? Or are you talking about some kind of interpretive dancing? Let's hear this.
The FAMU Strikers is an artistic group that has performed. Now, I haven't performed any of these places, but 106 in Park, the Apollo, America's Best Dance Crew, Next Best Dance Crew, they were on that show not too long ago.
So what kind of dancing is this?
It's hip hop, it's contemporary, it's all kinds, really.
I might embarrass myself. So is this kind of Jabberwocky-ish?
A little bit.
Okay. And I mean that in the pod, like I love that they're so cool, right? But it's like the only hip hop dance crew I could think of besides You Got Served or something like that. Yeah.
A combination of all of that.
Yeah, okay. Did you start that when you got to FAMU, or were you doing
my sophomore year? My sophomore year, I danced.
Interesting. Yeah.
So my claim to fame, we opened up while I was in college at a concert for Lil Wayne.
Wow, really?
Yeah, dancing.
Interesting. That's cool. That's way cool. No one else is going to be on the show that's going to be able to claim that. Cool.
So when I post things, when I post videos, when I post us dancing, that's who I am as a person. Yeah. And I want people to see that. I want people to see, sometimes I post workouts and everything like that, but let me show you, like, outside of, practice, what we do on a day-to-day basis. And this is like how it is for real.
Yeah, I love that. On Facebook, on Twitter, you can only like or love, whatever the button is. On Facebook, you have a couple different options, right? Like and love and care and angry and sad or whatever. When I look at, all the coaches that are in my Facebook network, the post of their families or their hobbies or those kind of things, those are the posts that I love that I physically, go over to the little heart. And the ones where it's like, oh, my athlete ran X or we did Y. It's like, yeah, that's good. I mean, that's your job. I mean, that's nice. I applaud you for your job because, that's awesome. It's what's putting, food on the table. But who you are as a person is way more important to me than what you do. So I love those kind of posts. I've gotten to know Quinn Pack. He's a high school coach up in Colorado, and he's a birder. Like I'm not embarrassed to say this all. I had him on the show just so I could learn about birding. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know a birder and whatever. And it was just so fascinating. And now I'm like drawn to his posts because they're all about him and his daughter going out and finding these birds and cataloging that. That's his collection, right? He collects these birds, and then him and his son, who's a thrower, and they're practicing. That to me, that's what I'm interested. I'm interested in the Quinn Packs, the Kenny Andersons, not the Coach Andersons and Coach Packs. That's your job. I love that, and I support it with what we do here at Gill. But the person, your why, that's so important to me. So I love that you show that side of it too, and not just the strict business. Here's Coach Anderson doing this and doing that. That's awesome, man. That's truly you. That's what people are attracted to. So that's awesome.
I agree.
One of the many things that you do on Twitter that I love as it relates to social media and recruiting, every kid that you sign, you give them their, I don't know how to put this. You make it seem like they just won the freaking Super Bowl. And I mean this in all positive ways. I mean, you are, up next for the CMU Eagles, great decathlete, blah, 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 blah. And you got this cool graphic, which we're going to talk about here in a second. This hurdler, coming to Fayette, Missouri. I mean, it is a big deal that they're signing a college scholarship. I mean, I really do believe, there's been a lot lately, social media posts about, if you sign a D1 scholarship, you're awesome. D2 scholarship, you're awesome. D3, like if you're participating in the next level, dude, it's a dream. It's a deal. That's a big, big deal. And you really, I mean, these kids have to feel so stinking good when they see like, oh my God, this coach I just signed with, like, he just gave me like the Super Bowl mock up here. This is amazing. Where did that start, and why do you do that?
I think it's very, very important. Just to back up a little bit, to talk about like why they choose CMU. I think it's not only the energy, but the connection and the relationships that we build. So before they even, decide to commit or decide to sign with us, definitely building the relationship is like number one for me. And it's not only what they can do for me on the track, but how can I help them? How can I help them be successful in life? I tell people all the time, at some point in your career, if you're an athlete, it's going to end. Whether you go to college, whether you run post-collegiately, it's going to end. How are you preparing yourself to be successful whenever that day comes? And how can I help you? My job here as a coach is to serve you. Is to build the relationship, is to be an extension of your parents, is to help you to become the best version of yourself that you can be. And so from there, like, we build that trust. So a coach-athlete relationship is always built on trust. Communication, trust, and family. That's kind of the principles of what we do here. So when, somebody in your family does something well, or, has an accomplishment, you're very, very excited for them. You want to show love. You want to promote them. My cousin did this. My mom did this. My brother did this. For me, it's the same with the athletes that I work with. So they decided, I'm choosing to trust in Central Methodist. I'm choosing to trust to Coach Kenny to help me to become better. To me, like, that's very, very important. And so I'm very, very appreciative as a coach for you to say, I want to come here because not only do I like this university, but I trust you as a coach to take care of me. So with that, it's announcing our partnership together. Everybody is special. Everybody is different. And I treat everybody like that. We're all family. I want to see everybody be successful. So I'm going to show love. And so that's kind of like how it started. And then, everybody does it, the signee posts and things like that. I don't want to be like everybody else. So I'm always trying to figure out what can I do to make it seem that, I care. Like I want to be different. I don't want to do generic. I'm not a generic person. So I'm always trying to figure out ways or, try to switch things up to make it different.
Yeah, we see the final product, right? The announcement of the athlete signed. I have to imagine that the athlete's probably not surprised that you did that, because I'm assuming throughout the recruiting process, and maybe not necessarily the graphic, but the energy that you're talking about is shown all the way through the recruiting process. So when they sign, they've already committed. You then put out that post. They're probably like, "Yep, that's what I would expect from. That's why I chose them."
Exactly. And that's how I want it to be. So for me, it's not just track and field. It can't be just track and field. It's about life. So if they have other activities or they're, playing other sports, I'm at the game. I've been fortunate enough, for NAIA, we don't have any like restrictions as far as being out recruiting. So I have a couple of signees that play basketball. I go to the basketball games. Basketball is not really going to help me in the track world, but I'm showing support. I have one athlete who's an archer. So I've been to a arching competition. I've been to dance competitions. So it's just showing that I really care and I mean it. And not just, you come sign to my school, we're going to run fast. And once you graduate, that's it. No.
So this seems bigger than track and field for you. That's bigger than their 100-meter PR, their long jump PR. You mentioned about, I love that kind of cold slap in the face that, hey, no matter how good you are, it is going to end one day. The competing in track and field, at least on the collegiate side, obviously there's masters and such. Where does that come from? Is there a coach that kind of fed into you there, a teacher, a family member? Where that has to be taught? It's not necessarily always innerly learned. We have mentors in life. Where does that come from?
A combination of a lot of people. I have a great deal of mentors who have poured in to me, and a lot of the things that they've poured into me hasn't just been basketball or hasn't been just track. Mm-hmm. It's been, how do you navigate life? And so when I have the opportunity to do so, that's what I want to do. And if I could take a moment to kind of give my roses to some of those people right now,
please.
And it's a lot, because I feel like the whole, saying it takes a village, it definitely takes a village. And it hasn't been just like, one person. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with, my family. Both of my parents are educators. So that kind of, instilled in me, my mom's a principal, my dad's a coach. And so like education and, that kind of mindset has been, the forefront of, everything that I've done in life so far. And then, while I was in high school, my band director, he poured a lot into me, just trying to, helping me to, grow and everything like that. And then, so coaching, mentors, a lot of people that I talk to now, we don't really get into like the X's and O's of training or anything. It's more how to deal with people, how to manage people, how to talk to people, how to communicate, and how to, at this point in my career, as a head coach, like I'm leading 70 people, staff, athletes, and everybody is different. So just kind of helping me navigate what that looks like and how I can be successful. So got to give a shout out to Coach Cheek at ECU, Coach Murphy and Coach Howard, Coach Oliver at Howard. Definitely got to give a shout out to Coach Vaughn at Grambling State, Coach Johnson at Johnson C. Smith, Coach Nadia Alexander at FAMU, Coach Mastrada at, Southeastern Louisiana. He actually, allowed me to come down there over Thanksgiving to kind of like shadow him for a couple of days. So I'm appreciative of that. And then I have a group of peers that, we used to talk. We haven't talked in, since the holiday break, but Coach Josh, he was at Troy. He was at Corpus Christi right now.
Josh. Yeah. I know Josh.
Southern Miss, Ronaldo at Grand Valley State, Camilla at Virginia Wesleyan, Josh Campbell at Pratt, and if I've missed anybody, please forgive me.
I haven't talked about my beloved alma mater in a couple episodes, and you just rattled off 4 or 5 Troy coaching alums. So that means the absolute world. You're already on the show. You don't have to suck up, man. That was so nice of you to say that. And always it's a tough to put you on the spot about mentors and peers and such, because you're always afraid of forgetting someone. And it's not that you are forgetting that person. It's just, there's 100 people that obviously have poured so much into you, man. That's amazing. I love that you're taking that, I'm going to use your word here, taking that energy that they've poured into you, and you're converting it and flipping it into young kids today, 18 to 22-year-olds, man. I love that.
2 more.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Sharon Williams at Buffalo, and Coach Ellison at Temple.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, I'll do a whole show about nothing but shout outs, because, the whole goal here is to uplift and honor coaches. We're focusing on you. You're the star of the day, but let me tell you what, no one is one person by themselves. You're being a great example of this, of that people, not just other coaches. And that's obviously what we focus on, but your parents love that their educational background, band directors, teachers, leaders in our communities, they pour into us. And that's what makes us who we are. So I love these coaches. You're just an amazing example of this amalgamation of great people speaking and leading into your life. And now you become one of those people to other people, right? It's a cycle, a positive cycle that continues on of being uplifted and then uplifting others, being taught, teaching others. It's just if we continue those positive cycles, we break a lot of historical bad cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So back on the recruiting front, you mentioned Coach Boone, Dana Boone, great friend, love her. And another guy that I actually have never met, but we've had some different Zoom calls. He seems like a great guy, actually, is Ontavious Johnson. I don't know if it's a coach. He's Coach ZJ on Twitter. They want to know more about this recruiting here. So ZJ, Ontavious, he asked if he could borrow any of your recruiting budget. I'll answer for you. No, you can't borrow any of his recruiting budget. And Dana wants to know how much scholarship money. I mean, it's an AI, so I admittedly don't know much about it. Maybe I'll have 100 scholarships. I don't know. But Dana wants to know how much scholarship money do you have left? And because it seems like you've signed at least 100 people, she says, this fall alone.
I still have a little bit left.
Oh, look out.
We had a commitment over the weekend that I posted his video today. And then as soon as we finished the recording today, I got another one that needs to go out. But really it goes to, we're not any different than any other university, honestly. As far as we don't have this extended amount of, any more than anybody else has. I think it's more so a testament to what we are doing as a staff and how we are building and the type of athletes that, we're getting to want to come here. So before we even, talk about money, like most of the kids are really sold on, all right, I feel comfortable at, Central Methodist as far as academics, and, they have my major. It's going to help me in that aspect. And then, I rock with the staff, Coach Ken, I love Coach Kenny. I rock with him. I feel like he has my best interests at heart. And then once we get them to that point, they're already sold on us, so if we're able to, offer any assistance, that's a plus. I just feel like we're as a staff, we're doing an excellent job of finding the right fit for where we are here. And it's kind of taken off, a lot of people are seeing what we're doing. A lot of people see the graphics. A lot of people see, I want to see, what's going on there. I'm gonna do my research. I've never heard about Central Methodist. I don't know anything about them, but let me research the school. Let me hit up Coach Kennedy to see what he's talking about, to see, who he is. And then it's just taken off from there.
Well, I like that Dana says it seems like you've signed 100 people, and we know. Well, actually, I'm assuming you have not signed 100 people.
I have 13 girls and 7 guys so far.
So 1/5 of what she thinks you've signed. but I like that because it shows the power of social media. It's like you can, and it's not lying, but it's able to amplify what you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
When you do those posts, you have some, really amazing graphics. A little birdie tells me that you do those graphics. Is that true?
Not quite.
Okay. All right.
Not quite. So I do the videos and
Okay.
like the video productions. I do that. The actual like commitment graphics, I have a guy that I work with that helps me with those.
Okay. I was about to say, man, there's a lot of money in graphic designing too and stuff. So,
very much so.
Yeah.
But the graphics itself, he helps me with that. But the videos for the commitments, I do those.
That's
and the
awesome.
music stuff.
What program are you using for that?
I use I'm telling my secrets, but
there ain't no secrets in this world. Come on now.
Yeah, you're right, because it's open. But Viva Video, that's the app that I use for making the video edits.
You know what I love about, when people talk about giving away my secrets and stuff like that. So you're on social media. Maybe you know this guy. Have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you'd love this guy. Oh, when we're done, you got to go check him out. He's he's on every single social media. He's amazing. It's hard to describe what he is actually. He owns a media business. It's $250 million a year in media ads. Did you see that Planters ad, the little baby Mr. Planters and Mr. Planters? Yeah. That was him. He created his agency, I should say, created all that. So he's big time. He's working for Planters and Ford and all those kind of big dogs, right? But he started out as a guy like me and you. He started in a family business. His dad owned a liquor store in Jersey. He convinced his dad to let him take over the marketing and all that kind of stuff. They went from $3 million a year to like $60 million a year. He's a motivator, etc. But he gives away all of his secrets, right? And everybody's like, well, why would you tell people what you do on TikTok and Instagram? He gives it all away. He goes, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm doing. Here's the program I'm using. He does it all, right? And people are like, why do you give the secrets away? And he goes, because I know 99% of you jokers will still never do it. It don't matter if you know Viva or whatever that program you was. It's like, I bet here's what I bet, Kenny. So we're actually recording this in December, but we're not going to publish this. We got a couple people in front of you, right? You're going to publish, I think this will be January sometime when people are actually listening to us right now. I'm going to go on a limb here and say, when this publishes in January, if we look back in June, so we'll give a full 6 months here roughly, I bet we don't see any more people doing what you do. Honestly.
But by that time though, I'm gonna be on to something, something different. So I'm trying to get better. So every day is 1% better. If we get better 1% every day at the end of the year, we are 365% better than we were last year. So as far as, let me back up. Let me slow down because I'm getting excited now.
I love it. This is where the gold happens right here, listeners.
As far as coaching, no coach is really coming up with anything new at this point. We are all reinventing the wheel. No matter what your philosophy is, how you train, we're all pretty much doing the same thing for the most part, generally speaking, So what is it that sets you apart? And then once you figure that out, how do you improve on it? So you find your niche, you find whatever that is, sets you apart. But then, we as a people, we evolve. So naturally, people are going to catch up. So when they catch up, are you going to stay stagnant or are you going to get better? So I'm always trying to figure out how can I improve? And for sure, by June, it's gonna be something different.
All right. I feel like we're kin in some form or fashion, because this is we could just have had this podcast about me, because I love that. I'm with you 100%. So I want to have this conversation with you here, Kenny. So you said we all have things that make us, we're all doing the same thing, but we have different skill sets on how we do it. We do things that set us apart. That's what you said. What do you do? What are your skill sets that set you apart from everybody? If we're all kind of coaching the same way, roughly, I get what you're saying there. What makes you different?
My love for the people that I work with. I think I'm genuine. I think it's definitely not about me. I could, if I don't, I'm saying this, but as far as like winning championships, doing, things like that, it's a goal, but it's not the primary focus. My job here, and I feel like my purpose, we just talked about the movie Soul, and, finding that spark and that purpose for me is seeing the people that I'm able to work with, I'm blessed to work with, seeing them become successful, seeing them accomplishing, I can't say the word, accomplishing, I can't say it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Achieving success.
Yes. Them doing that gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I feel like my purpose is to serve. However I can serve, if it's, helping you, in the classroom, helping you get an internship, if it's helping you, come closer to Christ, because being at a Christian school, that's acceptable here, to where we can have conversations about that. And so I've had conversations with athletes about, prayer, about, different things like that. And so for me, the servitude part is what sets me apart, I believe. Because my opinion, you're not going to find somebody that's going to care for you like I'm going to care for you. And I could be biased. It could be cocky. It could be confident. Yeah, I really don't care, what you call it. But I'm a make sure that I'm putting you in the best position, successful for you. And I don't take that lightly.
Well, I think it's, I'm a little, this is a rare moment. I'm not normally a little tongue-tied here. It's one thing to say that, Kenny, but here's what I believe. I think people get found out real quick. And I think your actions over the past several years have proven that it's not just talk for you. If it was just talk, well, you wouldn't have had people calling on your behalf for jobs. You wouldn't have had people that you worked with at other institutions when they go to other schools reaching out to you. I think parents, especially when they're talking, when the subject is their kid and their future and where are they going to go to school and are they going to go far from home, or these kids all have options. You're not the last stop for these kids, right? You had to prove your worth and your university's worth over other people, right? I think parents and even kids, especially, they can smell BS fairly quickly. And if they can't, they will eventually. And it's so, having this draw to your university, this I'm gonna call it little school in Fayette, Missouri, and people talking about you, and people, like I said, you were nominated for this. More importantly than what you're saying is what you are doing, the actions that you're taking, and they're obviously being noticed.
Yep. It's 3 types of people in the world. You got quitters. Everybody knows what a quitter is. You have survivors. Survivor is you're surviving, average, status quo. And then you have thrivers. All right. So anything that we do here, anything that I do, I want to thrive, whether if I'm good at it or not. If I'm not good at it, then I'm gonna work my butt off to make sure that I am good. But, I feel like as a, person, all of us, whatever our purpose, whatever our spark, whatever our calling is, like we shouldn't be surviving in it. We should be thriving. Be the best you that you can be. Be the best possible version of yourself. And whatever you do, if it's coaching, if it's, sales, if it's podcast, if it's teaching, if it's, art, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that every day you're being the best that you can be. And that's all we can do.
Quitters, survivors, and thrivers. That is a great way to end this episode, my man. Honestly, I'm just so thankful for you. I like to tease coaches, especially young coaches, when they get into the profession, about like why would you choose coaching track? Like, and I mean that because like there's some amazing. You're one of these examples here, Kenny. Amazingly smart, talented, gifted people. Like, I bet if I took every track coach in this country and made them go do other things, I bet you we could cure cancer. I bet you we could end poverty. I really believe that. I mean, the coaches in this profession, selfless leaders, thinkers, creators, creative people. It's amazing. And so when I think about, what we just heard with your life, Kenny, from, I'm gonna tease you a little bit here and say a dancer, but being a musician, being a engineering major, come on, man, that's, ain't many people doing that. Being a basketball coach, being a leader for track clubs and track schools, you could do anything. You know what I'm saying? And you choose to coach the greatest sport in the world, track and field, and affect the livelihoods of 18 to 22-year-olds on a daily basis, man. I'm just so thankful for that. I really am. That's so awesome. I love you to death for that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Kenny. Man, this was awesome. I'm so glad that someone nominated you, and I'm so humbled that you would join us. You would agree to join us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed myself today. Thank you for having me on the show. Was a pleasure. Keep doing your thing, with the podcast and all of that. Just thank you for having me. It's just a blessing to get nominated, for people to think about me in that regard. And, a blessing for you to allow me to come and spend some time to talk.
I expect some kind of fancy graphic when we publish this.
Oh, I got you.
I'm just going to tell you, you say it, but now I want to act. I want to see the results.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry. I got you.
Well, Kenny, man, I'm just so honored, honestly, that you'd be here today. And folks, that's a wrap. Honestly, just want to thank Kenny for being on the show today. Really appreciate your authenticity and openness to share with us today. We talked about a lot of things, and I'm just so appreciative of you. Listeners, if you have enjoyed today's episode, I know I sure did, please consider subscribing to the show. And honestly, even more importantly, if you found value in today's conversation, I believe others in your network would too. So I love that we talked a lot about social media today, because that's exactly what I'm going to ask from you right now. Would you hit that share button and let your network on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, smoke signals, whatever you like to use, would you let your network know not only about this great coach we had here today? Yeah, you're going to add smoke signals to your repertoire now. See, he's always advancing. He just thought, he's like, oh, I got to do smoke signals now. But I do believe that, guys and gals like Kenny and the other guests that we've had, there's so much value that they bring with their stories and their leadership. And I think others in your network would enjoy that. So until next week, when we join us again, when we'll once again connect you with another amazing track coach. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kenny.
Thank you.